I got a big heart, I can let you in. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world.
Hi, and welcome back to Toxic Bliss, Surviving Narcissism with me, Awen Reese. I thought it was time to sit back a bit and take stock of everything that had happened so far, and where I was at emotionally during this period. It's considered very bad form to ask an abuse survivor why they didn't just leave. Why did you stay? Why did you keep taking him back? And I get that, but that is the point of this podcast. I want to try to answer those questions as best I can. I don't know if there's a way I can articulate my thought process well enough so that someone who hasn't ever been in that situation can understand it, but I am going to try. The best way to start answering those questions is to explain the psychological damage that a narcissist can do. It's a slow process. It chips away at your sanity little by little, day by day. And the narcissist will inflict wounds, some major and some minor, and they will sometimes be the same one to make them all better with their over-the-top apologies and more rounds of love bombing, but sometimes they'll also make you believe that it was your fault that you got wounded to begin with, and if you would just be better, then you won't get hurt anymore. These wounds are usually emotional in nature, but they can certainly be physical as well. Today's chapter will highlight the minute-by-minute emotional roller coaster that the narcissist continually inflicts on their target. At this point in the story, I had been living with Mike for about 6 weeks. Things had been stressful for sure, but in between the tough moments, there were such highs and powerful feelings of love so great that I thought my heart would burst for joy. Now, it's easy to sit here and see what was really happening. But while I was in this situation, I felt as though I was losing more and more of who I was, or who I thought I was. He made me question so many things about the way I viewed the world that everything came into doubt. Maybe his arrest for domestic violence wasn't what it seemed. Maybe he was really innocent. Maybe living with him and his wife wasn't that bad. Maybe people do this all the time. Maybe him spending that $2,500 was okay. Maybe that day when he screamed at Maggie in the pool was just a bad day for him and not indicative of a much deeper problem. Maybe I was the one who was wrong, and none of these things were as bad as I thought they were. Maybe I was just hypersensitive and prudish in my beliefs. Maybe our relationship would end if I didn't shape up and fly right as he demanded. So, on with the tale. It was still light out when we left for the beach. We stopped at the grocery store and he told me to wait in the car. He was just going to run in and grab a snack for the beach. While he was shopping, I wondered how he could possibly eat anything else after the feast that he had had at Joe's. I, on the other hand, was starving. I hoped that he was going to get something decent and not in any way fish-related. He came back to the car with a bag, but he wouldn't let me see what was inside. "It's a surprise," he said with glee. I have to admit that I was nervous about this. Surprises from him had a tendency to have rather tragic outcomes. We got to the beach, and I grabbed our blanket, and he brought the towels and the surprise snack. I found a nice spot to spread out the blanket, and we sat down, enjoying the ocean breeze. He sat right next to me, and with great pomp and circumstance, he unveiled the treat. It was a French silk pie, and he had even thought ahead and bought a box of plastic cutlery. "Ta-da!" he exclaimed. "This is my favorite pie on the whole planet. Let's eat." He opened it up and handed me a fork. "No plates, just dig in." I took a small bite and, oh dear, this was delicious. He looked at my face and said, "I know, right?" We demolished that entire pie in minutes. I had been so hungry, and it was a phenomenal dessert. We laughed, we ate, he put a dot of whipped cream on my nose and kissed it off. When the pie was well and truly gone, we laid back on the blanket, enjoying the mini food coma we were in. And I laid there just staring at the periwinkle sky as the first stars started to pop into existence. "Are you happy, baby?" he asked me. "Yes, very," I said, and I turned to smile at him. I was surprised to see the look on his face. He looked distressed. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Well, I'm happy too, but I could be happier." When I turned to face him and propped myself up on one elbow so I could see his face clearly. "Tell me what's wrong," I urged. "You keep criticizing me," he said. It's like everything I do is wrong somehow, and it just makes me feel like I can't make you happy." "What?" I asked. "What are you talking about? What have I criticized you for?" "What haven't you criticized me for?" he said. "Let's be honest." I was shocked by this, and I tried to run back over the last few weeks and come up with an example of me criticizing him. I couldn't, but maybe that was because I didn't realize that I had been so awful to him. "Give me an example," I said. "I want to fix this, but I need to understand what's upsetting you so I can change it." He sighed and started his rant. "Well, you got mad at me about the money again and again and again. You know there's nothing I can do about it, so why do you keep harping on it? You basically called me a loser for not having a job, and you called me a criminal when we went to the police station, and you were embarrassed by me at the restaurant. I can't do anything right with you, can I?" Tears had started welling up in my eyes. A minute ago, just a minute ago, I was basking in the gloriousness of us, and now I'm sitting here feeling very much attacked for something I don't even understand. I'm bad for calling him out on his horrendous behavior. He stole a lot of money from me. He got arrested for fighting with his pregnant wife. How am I the bad one in any of this? Okay, maybe I was a little harsh with some of the things I said, but I thought I had held my tongue pretty well, all things considered. But had I really hurt him this badly? It was a good thing I didn't say what I had really been thinking. Ugh, how do I fix this now? Okay, whoa. Hold on there. Where's this coming from? I asked him. He just shrugged. All right, well, first of all, if you couldn't do anything right with me, I wouldn't be here, I said, which honestly felt like a lie. I love you, and if I hurt you with the things I've said recently, I am truly sorry. My intent wasn't to hurt you at all. I was just trying to get things straight before we move, that's all. What can I do better? While he was thinking of a response, I was busy processing all of this. I had paid his bail, took him out for dinner, didn't have him arrested for stealing all that money. I stayed with him after finding out all of his lies and manipulations. I mean, what the hell else did he expect of me, really? I thought I was going above and beyond the normal expectations. He finally spoke. "Well, just be nice, I guess." Just be nice? I can do that, I said, and I reached out for him. He took my hand in his, and he kissed it. "I do love you, you know. I'll be more careful with the words I use from now on, okay?" I promised. He smiled, a real smile. "Good, that's all I'm asking," he said. "What do you say we go back to that karaoke bar for a few drinks before we head back?" "Sure," I smiled. I could actually really use a drink. Man, at this rate, I was going to be an alcoholic by next week. His mood snapped back to perfectly happy within seconds of my concession. I had made a conscious choice to just let it go and forget this entire conversation. The ups and downs were starting to wear on me, and I just wanted to get off the ride and find some normalcy. If he was happy again already, then so be it. I would just go with the flow. We packed up our stuff and brushed off all the sand off ourselves and got in the car. The bar was only about a block away, and we could have just walked, but he drove there anyway. Ah, karaoke night. Such fun. I had attended a performing arts high school and had studied voice and piano most of my life, so these sorts of events were exceptionally painful for me. We found a table, and he went to the bar to get drinks. He came back with some fruity concoction for me, and it was delicious. Still to this day, I have no idea what it was, but it went down super easy and super fast. I had another, and another in record time. He suggested that I go up and sing a song. Yeah, no, not a chance. I glared at him, trying to make a super serious face. "Come on, do it for me, just one, please." And he used the puppy dog eyes. Aw, man, that's no fair. I went up to talk to the karaoke guy to see what they had. "Anything by Tori Amos?" I asked. He had a couple of songs, and I said, "All right, let's go with Cruel." My subconscious was definitely up for sending a message tonight, it seemed. Not that he'd get it. I was third in line, so I went back to our table and had another drink. More alcohol would help with this. By the time he called my name, I was 4 or maybe 5 of those fruity drinks in, and I was feeling great. but I stood up and almost fell right back down. Whew, that was weird. I walked up to the little stage area and promptly tripped and fell down over the step. Ow, that hurt. I had twisted my ankle and reached for it. The karaoke guy and a random guy from a nearby table came and helped me right up. I was okay, just embarrassed as ever. I looked at Mike for some reassurance, and he was laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Oh, nice. I raised an eyebrow and told the guy to start the music. Now, if you've never heard the song Cruel by Tori Amos, this would be a great time to go check it out on YouTube or something. The words could not have been more perfect for what I was feeling in that exact moment. Go ahead and pause this and listen to the song. I'll be here when it's done. Welcome back. See? Perfect song. I finished singing and got a loud round of applause. I'm sure most of that was sympathy for my embarrassing fall and the laughter of my idiot boyfriend. I got back to the table and sat down. So, what'd you think? I asked. Meh, it was okay, he said, and immediately started talking about some sports ball thing. Well, guess I should have gone with 1,000 Oceans then. I was quiet and subdued for the rest of the evening, having been completely deflated like a popped balloon, just as the song suggested. All right, we'll pause here for a quick break as I raise a toast to Tori Amos. This one's for you. Be right back. We woke in the morning and got dressed and checked out in a hurry. It was only about 7:30 in the morning, so chances are that everyone back home would still be sound asleep. We made it home by 8, and indeed, they were all in dreamland. We went out into the kitchen, and I was rummaging through the fridge to get some stuff out to make breakfast. Mike had put the towels and swimsuits into the wash and walked up behind me to see what I was making. He wrapped his arms around my waist and leaned forward to kiss me on the neck. I giggled happily and continued scrambling some eggs. We heard a small cough and turned. Tina had walked in. My breath caught in my throat and I froze. Mike didn't miss a beat, though. He said, "Morning, sunshine," and walked over to her and enveloped her in a hug and gave her a kiss on the cheek. "Did you sleep well? We're just making some breakfast. I hope you're hungry." He used his over-the-top sing-song voice, and he led her out of the room. I didn't know what to do. I kept making breakfast, and I waited to hear the sounds of an argument echoing through the house, but everything remained quiet. I set out the food family style on the table, and I went to see what was going on. I also needed to wake up Eddie and Maggie while I was at it. As it turns out, Maggie and Bella were already awake, watching cartoons upstairs, and Eddie was in the bathroom getting dressed. There was no sign of Tina or Mike, and I assumed they were somewhere discussing what had just happened. Eddie and the girls came in and got their breakfast. We were all sitting around eating and chatting when Mike and Tina appeared. They both looked perfectly happy. Tina grabbed a plate of food and even said thank you. "Looks good." She sat down to eat. I looked at Mike, trying to figure out what had just happened, and he smiled at me. I'm sure I'd hear all about it later on. No one seemed to even notice that we had been out all night either. How strange. Mike started to clear the breakfast dishes, and he even enlisted the help of the girls to get everything washed and dried and put away. I made a mental note about how fantastic that was, and went outside to talk to Eddie for a bit. He said he needed to talk to me about something, so we went to our usual therapy spot. "I'm kind of mad at you," he said. "Oh? Why?" I asked. Certainly couldn't think of anything that had happened that would elicit this from him. "My girlfriend told me last night that you had been emailing her and had said some really nasty things to her." I coughed and laughed at the same time. "She what? I don't even know her damn email address. That's funny. What did she say that I said?" I asked with great curiosity. He looked stern and serious. "You said some really mean things about her and you told her to leave me alone." "Eddie, I hadn't even been on AOL since we got here. When was I supposed to have emailed her? My computer's sitting in the storage unit, and I haven't logged in since we left Connecticut." I paused to make a mental note here that I should go get my computer and set it up today. That'd be fun. He just shook his head. "Eddie, I don't even know her stupid screen name. Come on. There is no way I emailed her, ever." "Her name is Vampirella. Does that ring a bell?" he asked angrily. I coughed and laughed once again. "Her name is what?" I cracked up. I shouldn't have laughed because he was dead serious, but really? Vampirella? Laugh all you want, but leave her alone, he said. You don't have to mess up my relationship just because your boyfriend is a complete jerk. Eddie, I swear to you, I did not email her. She's either confusing me with the wife of some other boyfriend she has, or she's lying to you. Either way, you're going to have to sort that out with her. He stormed inside, and I continued laughing at the absurdity of this. Vampirella. Good grief. I didn't even give the matter another thought. He'd work it out. I went back inside, and Mike was just finishing up the dishes. The girls were playing somewhere, and I could hear the giggles, and Tina had retreated to her lair once again. What's he all been out of shape about? Mike asked me, bending his head toward Eddie, who had just stomped into the living room. Oh, he thinks I was emailing Vampirella and telling her to leave my husband alone, I said with a laugh, and Mike laughed. Right, he said. Speaking of emailing, I mentioned, could we go to the storage unit today so I could grab my computer? Yeah, sure, he said. And, I whispered, what happened with Tina? He smirked with a very self-satisfied Cheshire cat sort of grin. Well, Tina just saw me reach around you when we were making breakfast, and she thought she saw something else. But I explained it, though. She's fine. I shook my head in disbelief as I chuckled softly. He was good. You had to give him that. I'm going to take an unusual step here, and I'm going to put a trigger warning for the rest of this episode. There's an event that's about to occur that could be very painful for some to listen to, and the last thing I want to do is cause an emotional breakdown for anyone. If you're sensitive to the topics of pregnancy and miscarriage, please just skip the rest of this episode. Thank you. All right, moving on. I felt a sharp cramping pain in my lower abdomen. It was so painful that I even made a noise and doubled over. Mike dropped the dish towel and spun around to see what was wrong. I don't know. Ow! Really bad cramp. Ugh! Oh, God, he exclaimed and pointed to my leg. There was a trickle of blood running down the inside. Oh! Ew! I said aloud as another cramp hit me. Ow! 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 I put my hand up on the counter for support as the trail of blood grew longer and wider. Oh, shit, he said. He took my elbow and yelled for Eddie, who appeared instantly. Grab me some towels, and he did. And Mike took me, still by the elbow, and led me out to the car. Tell Tina, he yelled back in at Eddie. We're going to the ER. Don't know how long we'll be, but stay with the girls. Eddie nodded, and we left, tires squealing and everything. I was okay-ish, but doubled over every time a wave of cramps came. What the hell kind of period is this, I wondered. By the time we got to the ER, the car looked like it had been in an episode of The Exorcist or The Shining or something. I made a remark about it, and Mike told me to hush, not to worry about that. He parked in front of the ER entrance and got me inside. I was whisked once again straight into a room. No triage, no waiting. He said he'd be right back. He had to go move the car, and I was put into a dressing gown and a bed with lots of extra absorbent padding placed on it. They asked me tons of questions, drew some blood, started an IV, said the doctor would be in as soon as the blood draw results were back. Just stay calm and try to rest. Mike got back and rushed to my side. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay, just really messy and crampy. It's just a really bad period, I said. He looked at me quizzically. Is that what the doc said? Well, no, I hadn't seen him yet, but what else could it be? They took some blood to run first, and the doc would be back soon. He nodded and sat down next to me. The doctor came in about an hour later and asked the date of my last period and made some notes. It appeared that I had had a spontaneous miscarriage. My blood test results had come back positive for pregnancy. What? I didn't even know I was pregnant. He said it was very, very early in the pregnancy, only a few weeks or so, and it just hadn't taken well. He did an internal exam and ultrasound and said he wasn't going to do a DNC and everything should take care of itself naturally, but I needed to follow up with my OBGYN to be sure. He told me to go home and take it easy for a few days. There would be some cramping for a while, but he gave me a prescription-strength ibuprofen, told me to eat well, no alcohol, the usual lectures. We went home more or less in silence. I wasn't sure how I felt. I didn't know I was pregnant, so I wasn't feeling any sense of loss or despair. I just wanted to know what caused it so I could make sure it didn't happen again, but the doctor said these things just happen sometimes. I wasn't in too much pain, just random cramping here and there, and either I had buried some feelings super deep or I was just okay. I wasn't sure which, but even now, many years later, I don't have any particularly strong feelings about this incident. I'm not sure if that's strange or not, but I think it's okay. Mike actually seemed more upset about it than I was. He didn't really want to talk about it, but I noticed him wiping away a few tears on the drive home. When we got back and got inside, I noticed that no one had bothered to clean up the blood on the floor in the kitchen. Par for the course with this crowd. I went to grab the bleach and some towels, but Mike got me settled on the couch instead, with lots of extra towels and absorbent pads that the nurse had given me at the ER. I laid down and fell asleep for a nap. And that was the end of that event, and it wasn't ever brought up again by any of us. So, that's also the end of this episode. Tune in next time to see what mischief Mike and I get up to. We end up locked out of the car and get viciously attacked by fire ants and discover the joys of Diablo, the video game, not the demon, together. Until then, thanks for listening and take care.
People ask me what my secret is, I just smile